Hello there, lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV main news. Today, the 20th of May in the year 2025. Let's take a look at the top stories. CHILENJE market traders commend government for generation installation amid load shedding. Action Institute for Policy Analysis Center condemns ZESCO and the Energy Regulation Board over persistent load shedding crisis. Zambia Council for Social Development welcomes government move to classify drug pilferage as economic crime. In international news, WHO approves historic pandemic agreement amid financial challenges. And in sports, Copper Queens set for Botswana in South Africa clashes in FIFA friendly series. We are broadcasting on Topstar Channel 106, Facebook, YouTube, can stream up as Camnet TV. After a break.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
To present Camnet TV main news in detail, I'm Tapelo Joe Smata. The Action Institute for Policy Analysis Center has condemned ZESCO and the Energy Regulation Board for failing to resolve the country's ongoing load shedding crisis despite implementing increased electricity tariffs. Center Executive Director Solomon Goma says the energy tariffs introduced to reduce power outages have not yielded the intended results, placing an additional financial burden on citizens without improving electricity supply. Mr. Ngoma states that ZESCO's failure to provide a stable and reliable power supply continues to negatively affect the economy, disrupt businesses, and strain households. He further criticized the ERB for extending the emergency tariffs until July 31st, 2025 without engaging key stakeholders, raising concerns about transparency and accountability in the energy sector. He also expressed concern over the expired mandate of ZESCO board and the extension of the board chairperson's tenure in the absence of the full board. The Institute has further called on President Hakainde Hichilema to establish a commission of inquiry into ZESCO's operations and declare the load shedding crisis a national disaster.
We would like to urge President Hakainde Hichilema to establish a commission of inquiry to investigate the current state of affairs at ZESCO. This inquiry is long overdue, particularly in light of the emergency tariffs implemented to reduce load shedding, which have failed to achieve their intended purpose. Despite increased financial burdens on the consumers, the power supply situation remains precarious. ZESCO's inability to provide a stable and reliable power supply has severe consequences for the economy, businesses, and households. The extension of the emergency tariffs until 1st July by the ERB without consulting relevant stakeholders raises concerns about corporate governance, transparency, and accountability, and undermines the ERB's board commitment to serving the public interest. The expired mandate of the ZESCO board and the recent extension of the board chairperson's tenure, despite no full board in place, blurs the lines of accountability and raises questions about corporate governance. ZESCO is a national strategic asset, and we hold the board and the managing director accountable for its stewardship, and therefore would like to put it on record that many Zambians have lost confidence in the current ZESCO board chairperson. In light of these developments, we urge the government to declare load shedding a national disaster. The impact on the local economy, businesses and households cannot be overstated. Many have lost jobs, businesses have shut down. The economy has suffered significantly. It is imperative that the UPND administration addresses load shedding with the urgency it deserves.
Meanwhile, traders at Lusaka's Mtendere market have expressed gratitude to government for installing a generator at the trading facility, a move they say has helped mitigate the effects of prolonged load shedding. Market Advisory Committee member Grant Mwika says the generator, which was installed on 31st August 2024, has significantly improved business operations. He notes that various traders, including hairdressers, restaurant operators, and butcheries, are now able to conduct business uninterrupted during power outages. And restaurant owner Nora Tole also praised the government, stating that the genset has positively contributed to the growth and stability of her business. Meanwhile, Kingsley Mwewa commended the government for responding to the needs of the traders, describing the intervention as timely and beneficial. Messi Matendeko filed in this report.
In a bid to cushion the impact of load shedding on small businesses, government on August 31st, 2024, donated and installed a generator at Lusaka's CHILENJE market, a move that continues to receive praise from traders operating in the area. Market Advisory Committee member Grant Mwika said the generator has brought significant improvement to the business operations within the market. He noted that traders, including hairdressers, restaurant owners, and butchers, are now able to work uninterrupted despite prolonged hours of power outages.
Because it has bring tremendous improvement in terms of trading to those people who rely on power, especially those who deals with saloons, butcheries, welders, and those who do tailoring and other businesses.
Restaurant owner Nora Tole expressed appreciation to the government for its commitment to supporting small businesses, noting that the generator has ensured her establishment continues to operate efficiently during power cuts.
Trading, batuleta kwa president. Chari to have from kuli fridge na kuli stove na masaloni. Baba shops na chitwafa fesana velo tokutotera iyi development tuleifwaya ile isa chilanjita koningalanda kofi.
Another trader, Jason Gondwe, who repairs electrical appliances, said genset operates from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily, providing sufficient time for him to serve his clients without disruptions caused by load shedding.
Mono market malongisa ni technician genset pamene nakuerera yatitandizira maningi kujirambira maningi kuyambira pane nambira load shedding ita time period tinapwata vutika maningi mamansi yambiri maningi mwe maningi ero isebolungisa so tezopezeka maybe sometimes ungapezeka na business but kuti ulungise echaizo kuvuta but panena bwera genset yatandizira maningi because at least tipangalapa na malight for 8 hours from 10 to 18 at least we are able to work itimasebenzako timatandizirako na family ma families kulipirako ma rentals at least bintu bankalako kuino kutira mwana.
Meanwhile, Kingsley Mwewa commended the government for being responsive to the traders' concerns and stressed that such support should be recognized and encouraged.
We are very happy and very thankful to our government. It's a very good thing. The government shouldn't wait for the citizen to complain or to cry foul. Not at all. We just have to see things happening.
Saloon owner Sharon Musasa added that before the installation of the generator, she would lose customers during outages, but now her clients are consistently served.
Awe tionga zipo mpali genset wanachipasa ndaba ma customers babwera chape bapeza malaiti aliko still facing a problem millions problem the time inabwelera mama ketians bonzi bagulisa kubuli.
For Camnet TV, Mercy Matendeko.
The National Restoration Party, NAREP, has called on the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, to shift its focus from blaming the Patriotic Front, PF, and instead commit to addressing the pressing challenges facing the Zambian people. Speaking in an interview, NAREP Secretary General Martin Molenga acknowledged that Zambians are well aware that many of the country's current problems originated under the previous PF administration, a factor that significantly contributed to the UPND's victory in the last general election. Mr. Mlenga, however, emphasized that the electorate now expects the UPND to deliver on its campaign promises. He warned that continued reference to a past government without tangible progress on current issues could jeopardize the ruling party's prospects in the 2026 general elections. Mr. Mlenga urged the government to prioritize economic recovery, service delivery and job creation, stressing that real leadership is demonstrated through results and not rhetoric.
I must mention that our colleagues, the UPND, have really not paid attention to their alliance partners. Having been with the alliance, the UPND alliance, for a long time, at the time they were in opposition, at the time that they are in power now, I can confidently tell you that the UPND has not taken time to pay attention to the alliance partners. Initially, we were 13 political parties before the 2021 elections, but now we have got only 5 political parties that have remained. I know there are other political parties that have joined, but at the time that we are forming the UPND alliance prior to the 2021 election, we said we were not going to allow political parties that participated in the 2021 elections. So for these other political parties like the MMD, the EPP that have joined the UPND, they've joined by themselves, not as a team the way we formed the UPND alliance. So we feel our friends have neglected the very principles to which we'd agreed upon to work as alliance partners. They've lacked consultation, and we feel they've taken a very wrong path. With the few months that is remaining, we are urging them to go back to the people that made them to be where they are today in government. Not only have they neglected their alliance partners, they've also neglected their grassroots. They need to go back to their grassroots and be able to explain to them what is obtaining in this country. You can never lead people when there's a gap between the people you lead and yourselves. And that's where our friend, the UPND, have found themselves into. Let them never use the PF as their yardstick. The Zambian people knew why they needed to vote out the PF. Though they should not be reminding us about the failures or the ills of the PF, we want them to perform to the expectations of the Zambian people as they did in their campaigns. Then as we go towards the election, probably people now will give them chance. But with what is obtaining, I must mention that it may be very difficult for them to win the 2021 elections if things stand as they are.
The Zambia Council for Social Development, ZCSD, has welcomed the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security's decision to introduce a bill that will classify the pilferage of drugs and medical supplies as an economic crime, describing the move as a necessary deterrent against the misuse of essential public health resources. In an interview with Camnet News, ZCSD Executive Director Leah Mitaba commended the government for taking a firm stance against the theft of medicines meant for free public consumption. She noted that the proposed legislation would help curb the growing trend of pilferage and send a strong message to would-be offenders. Ms. Mitaba further called on the government to strengthen monitoring mechanisms across the entire supply chain of medical commodities, particularly those sourced through donor aid. She stressed the importance of ensuring transparency and accountability in the handling and distribution of these vital supplies. Ms. Mitaba urged the judiciary to play its part in enforcing the law once the bill is enacted, ensuring that those found guilty face the full extent of legal penalties.
The Zambia Council for Social Development is actually happy and welcomes the government's statement and intention to introduce a bill that is going to classify theft of medical supplies as an economic crime. In fact, would actually add and say that it should actually be a human rights issue, because if you look at drugs and medicines, akin to what was referred to in the recent scandal, the Ministry of Health, these are drugs to do with chronic diseases. You're talking about ART, which is antiretroviral therapy. You are talking about tuberculosis, and you find that this supports some of the most vulnerable of our society, because these drugs are expensive. So most Zambians would not afford to buy them on their own. So for somebody to divert drugs that are given free of charge by different partners, and the government also investing in that, for me is something that is highly concerning. It's an emergency, and to see the government now take this step, which is categorical and bold, as ZCSD, we're really happy, and we believe that the government is setting its feet in the right direction. We know that by doing that, this move is going to deter, it will act as a deterrent to people that are thinking over abusing the drugs that are freely given. Because we know that with the economic financial crimes courts, cases are dealt with and adjudicated in a timely and efficient manner. So many people, I think, would desist from that. Would even add to say that the punishment must actually be severe, so that it acts as a deterrent and stops people that might be planning to take advantage in this way. And
the Commuters' Rights Association of Zambia has condemned the growing trend of corruption among police officers who are allegedly soliciting bribes from motorists at illegal checkpoints during the day. Association President Aaron Kamuti, in an interview with Camnet News, described the practice as a direct violation of President Hakainde Hichilema's call for a corruption-free nation, and urged the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, to take swift action against officers found engaging in such misconduct. Mr. Kamuti expressed concern over how some vehicles in visibly poor condition are allowed to pass through checkpoints, raising questions about the integrity of the inspection process. He says such instances suggest that bribes are being exchanged in return for overlooking violations of traffic and safety regulations. He called for increased oversight and accountability within the police service, stating that unchecked corruption undermines public trust and endangers the lives of road users. Mr. Kamuti further appealed to law enforcement agencies and relevant authorities to dismantle illegal checkpoints and ensure that officers perform their duties in line with professional ethics and the rule of law.
Why are we allowing a situation getting out of hand? The president, in his inaugural speech, stated very clearly that UPND, or the government of UPND, we are going to fight corruption. Now we are seeing corruption is the order of the day, and especially among the police, especially the traffic police department. We cannot be seeing checkpoints all over, and what we see is not progressive. It's only a handshake, someone gets some money. I know it's a two-way thing. Those people who are bribing the police, they are also needs to be reprimanded. We are seeing some changes in other countries. Just recently we saw a video from Kenya where the anti-corruption there took up the challenge of going flat out on the ground and make sure that they arrest those people who are found wanting. We saw it at one point. The then Honorable Minister Boman Musambo, when he was the Lusaka minister, he took it upon himself and he did some arresting or trying to apply a resisted arrest to some officers who are collecting bribes from the motorists. And now it has come out of the day. Who are the beneficiaries to this? We also want to appeal to NCC. What is the role of the NCC? Is it just to look at other areas where one is found wanting, especially the politician or some citizens? Why can't we take up the challenge of making sure that we arrest the situation before it gets out of hand? These bribes or the corruption is happening openly on our roads every day. We see unnecessary checkpoints and roadblocks. And what we see at the end of the day, there is no improvement if you look at the roadworthiness of the vehicles, especially public passenger buses. Most of them, they are not on roadworthy, but they always pass through these checkpoints and roadblocks. It's not the issue of looking at the fitness and the road tax. Even look inside of that bus. Is it worthy to be carrying passengers?
Keeper Zambia Foundation has called on the government to broaden its climate change mitigation efforts by addressing a wider range of contributing sectors beyond deforestation. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Foundation Executive Director Ezra Banda noted that while tree cutting is a significant concern, other activities such as certain agricultural practices also play a role a substantial role in driving climate change in the country. Mr. Banda emphasized that with Zambia entering the winter season, the demand for charcoal is likely to rise, potentially undermining efforts to curb environmental degradation. He warned that increased charcoal use could further strain the country's already fragile ecosystem. He urged the government to prioritize the provision of alternative and affordable energy sources for households in order to reduce the public's reliance on charcoal as a primary heating option. Mr. Banda reiterated the need for a multi-sectoral approach to climate action, stating that effective mitigation will require holistic planning and support across energy, agriculture, forestry, and community engagement.
Things being equal, if we stop charcoal production, as long as agriculture continues to cut down trees, as long as the timber producers continue to cut down trees, then we shall come back to the same, because we are reducing the stock of the trees which are supposed to be removing carbon in circulation. So basically ourselves, we say it has to be a very holistic approach, especially we look at the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Environment and Green Economy, that they need to work together. And by the way, just even the funding and the structure, maybe agriculture has got enough staff and receive adequate funding, while Department of Forest is inadequately funded and not well staffed. But that shouldn't be the case, because they have a major role to play in the system. They need to restructure themselves. They need to make sure that they bring in the community forest managed groups so that they are mandated and well structured to support them. So that in the systems, we have to continuously, jointly monitor and preserve the forest. By the way, what we have to understand is that we all derive our living or our livelihood from the forest. So as much as we exploit it, or as much as we want to defend it, we need to realize that there is a component of preserving the livelihood of the people. All 20 million Zambians depend on the natural resources. So we need to balance it up. We don't need to deplete it. Neither should we restrict it to the end where we say people should not use it. That is not possible. We need to balance it up. So I think this is our take as an institution, that the Department of Forestry need to work closely with the Department of Agriculture.
Operation Young Vote, OYV, has called on opposition political parties planning to field a single candidate in the upcoming parliamentary by-election to consider selecting a youth for the position in recognition of the constituents' youthful leadership. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, OYV Executive Director Ges Nyerenda emphasized that endorsing a young candidate would address the ongoing issue of underrepresentation of youth in Parliament. Mr. Nyerenda noted that young people have long been marginalized in the country's democratic and governance processes, despite being the majority in the country. He urged political parties to prioritize the aspirations and needs of the electorate over narrow partisan interests when choosing a candidate. Mr. Nyerenda added that the by-election presents a critical opportunity to promote youthful inclusion and ensure the leadership reflects the constituents' developmental and generational expectations. The Lumezi parliamentary seat was declared vacant following the conviction of its Member of Parliament, Munia Zulu.
Political parties and all stakeholders must realize that at the end of the day, the elections that we conduct, whether it's a general election or a by-election, the elections must actually serve the interest of the people. The elections must bring to the fore the effective participation of the people, because they are the ones who are choosing a leader. So in terms of getting into Lumezi, Lumezi will have a by-election very soon. We expect that, first of all, political parties, especially in the opposition political parties, we expect that this getting together, this coming together and fielding a single candidate is a thing that will come to pass. Because if it is rhetoric, the Zambian people will not actually be saved. The interest of the Zambian people will not be, because then you disintegrate the votes, you divide the votes. People cannot have a multitude of choices. We need people to have a choice between A and B, and that is how people are going to be helped to actually choose a leader that is worthwhile, a leader that is going to answer to the aspirations of the people. Yes, we know it's a democracy. They can field as many as candidates as possible, but I think the issue is to be able to give the people a limited choice, so that they know that here, this is what we are going for, and they will be able to seek questions later on in the event that someone fails to deliver. They will be able to seek accountability. So the opposition must not be rhetoric in terms of them fielding one candidate. It must come to pass.
A total of 73 suspected illegal immigrants have been apprehended by the Department of Immigration in a series of Public Relations Officer Namati Shinka says in Lusaka, the Regional Immigration Office led a targeted cleanup operation across several high-density residential areas, including Kamwala South, Linda, Kabanana, 6 Miles, Chipata Compound, and Ballaston Park. He says the operation resulted in the arrest of 54 individuals suspected of being in the country illegally. He adds that those detained include 36 Burundians, 11 Congolese, 2 Rwandese, and others of Chinese, Somali, Tanzanian, and alleged Zambian origin. Meanwhile, the Kafue Immigration Office conducted routine enforcement activities in Kafue town and Rai, which led to the detention of 19 more individuals. The group included 16 Burundians, 2 Congolese, and 1 Tanzanian national. Most of those apprehended are currently in custody, awaiting further screening and legal processing. We now go to Eastern Province, where Zanis reports that Nyimba district has reported 1 death and 1 confirmed case of Mpox, a disease caused by monkeypox virus. Acting District Health Director Mazala told Zanis that the first case involved Yoram Tembo from Baluba village in Senior Chief Luembe's area. Mr. Mazala explained that Mr. Tembo was initially seen at Chaluvilo Rural Health Center before being transferred to Nyimba District Hospital, where samples tested positive for Mpox. He said Mr. Tembo unfortunately later died while undergoing treatment. Mr. Mazala disclosed that Mr. Tembo's daughter, who was also admitted with Mpox, is currently receiving treatment at the hospital. He highlighted common symptoms of Mpox include painful skin rash, headache, enlarged lymph nodes, fever, and fatigue. The acting district health director further urged residents of Nyimba to avoid contact with animals, especially monkeys, as they are carriers of the virus. He said the incubation period for Mpox ranges from 1 to 21 days after infection. You are still watching Camnet TV main news, now broadcasting on channel 106 on the Topset decoder, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and the CanStream app. We take our first set of commercials, but do join us for international and sports news. When we come back, do stay tuned.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodland, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palabana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa. Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
Coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impassioned news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back and thank you so much for still joining us on the Camnet TV main news desk. And now in international news. The World Health Organization WHO on Tuesday approved the landmark pandemic agreement aimed at enhancing global coordination, monitoring, and equitable access to vaccines and medical tools during future pandemics. The agreement was adopted on the second day of the 78th World Health Assembly in Geneva, following more than 3 years of negotiations spurred by the global response to COVID-19. It comes at a critical time for the UN Health Agency, which is contending with US funding cuts and dwindling support from other traditional donors, factors that have hampered its ability to fully deliver on its mission to protect global health. Here's a roundup of international stories.
The first few humanitarian aid trucks entered Gaza on Monday after Israel announced it would let limited amounts of food into the enclave. The Israeli military said it had allowed 5 trucks carrying baby food and other supplies into the Gaza Strip after an 11-week blockade. Israel partially resumed aid deliveries following growing pressure from allies, including the United States, who reportedly could not bear images of hunger from Gaza.
I do believe that President Donald Trump has the necessary influence to change the situation in Gaza and to make sure that the siege be lifted and that the population get access to the assistance it deserves.
The United Nations welcomed the renewal of aid deliveries but called the move a drop in the ocean. About 600 aid trucks entered Gaza each day during the ceasefire that Israel broke in March.
We have to define what the basic is, because what is needed in Gaza is a massive, unhindered, uninterrupted assistance and supply to make sure that we are reversing the trend of the spreading hunger in the Gaza Strip.
The Israeli defense body in charge of aid said more trucks should enter Gaza in the near future. Food security experts warned last week that the entire population of the enclave was at critical risk of famine.
A freed Israeli hostage is urging her government to abandon its military campaign in Gaza and pursue negotiations, the only path, she says, to bring the remaining captives home. After 482 days in Hamas captivity, Arbel Yahoud says the war must end. My journey of rehabilitation and that of the other survivors of captivity cannot begin until everyone returns. We are physically here, but mentally we are still with them in captivity. Government ministers, Knesset members, look at me and see who you have abandoned and who you have chosen to sacrifice as a solution to the Gaza problem. Like me, there are 58 more Israeli citizens in captivity who are not only suffering, but are also dying. Speaking before a parliamentary committee, Yahoud said she lived in constant fear while in captivity. Her partner Ariel Kuniya remains in Gaza, one of 58 hostages still unaccounted for, 23 of whom are believed to be alive.
Facing one of the most serious crises in its 77-year history, the World Health Organization opened its annual meeting of government ministers and other top envoys on Monday. Following Trump administration funding cuts and plans to withdraw the US from the body, the UN Health Agency has seen a plunge in its ability to carry out its sweeping mandate to promote health and keep the world safe.
Many countries face significant challenges. Many ministers have told me that sudden and steep cuts to bilateral aid are causing severe disruption in their countries and imperiling the health of millions of people. In at least 70 countries, patients are missing out on treatments, health facilities have closed, health workers have lost their jobs, and people face increased out-of-pocket health spending. Although this is a challenge, many countries also see this as an opportunity to leave behind an era of aid dependency and accelerate the transition to sustainable self-reliance based on domestic resources. We're doing our best to support countries to make that transition.
Member countries are expected to agree to raise annual contributions by 20% to support WHO finances and reduce dependency on governments' voluntary contributions.
And finally, in sports news this evening, Zambia's senior women's national football team, the Copper Queens, is gearing up for a three-nation FIFA International Friendly Series featuring Botswana and host nation South Africa. As part of their preparations, the team held a training session on Tuesday morning at Lusaka's Edwin Imboela Stadium. The Copper Queens are scheduled to face Botswana on Saturday, 31st May, and South Africa on Tuesday, 3rd June 2025. The fixtures will serve as key preparatory matches ahead of the 2025 Total Energies Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON, set to take place in Morocco from 5th to 26th July. Speaking during camp, players Maweta Chilenga, Esther Siamfuko, and Natasha Nanyangwe described the atmosphere within the squad as positive and full of energy. The training camp has attracted both local and foreign-based players, notably Turkey-based defenders Martha Tembo and Lushomo Mwemba were the first international players to join the squad. They have since joined by China-based winger Ziomara Mapepa, adding depth and experience to the team. The friendly series will kick off on Wednesday, 28th May, with South Africa taking on Botswana. Zambia will then enter the fray against Botswana on 31st May, followed by a highly anticipated encounter with reigning WAFCON champions South Africa on 3rd June.
The preparations are going on very well. The atmosphere in camp is very high. We are going to face one of the biggest teams in Africa. They won the championship, so it's going to give us a big boost going into the WAFCON. Yes, and Botswana, they are a very strong team as well. So I think they will give us a good game in preparing for the WAFCON. The competition is very high. There are big names and there are young players also. So we are looking forward to mix up with the senior players also. Looking at the previous WAFCON, we came out third, so we are looking forward to winning the tournament this year actually, yes. The mood is very high. We are all excited and intensifying the training, ready for the two friendlies that we have. The two games are very important because as you know, we are preparing for the WAFCON in July, so these two friendlies are part of our preparation for the WAFCON. For me, I think Zambia is for everyone. It's not for adults, it's not for young ones. So everyone who gets the chance to come to the national team, they have to prove it that they deserve to be here, and you just have to work together, welcome each other, and we are all working towards the same goal. Sure.
And how are you helping them to settle in the team?
There's nothing like I'm the old player, I'm the new player. We just have to accommodate each other, understand one another, and speak one language. Our goal is to win. Last time we came third, and this time we are going with Fumalao. We're not going to try, but we're going to do our best because we want to get the cup.
So far so good. Training is going on well. Everyone is pushing. Everyone is putting in effort during training sessions. Yes, of course, that is giving us a push because our younger sisters won the COSAFA in a row now. So that is giving us a push to work hard and also make our country proud of us. Yeah, so the injury, yes, it made me lose a lot of hope. But after recovering and coming back to the team, it feels good, and I thank God for that, because it wouldn't have been possible without him. He's the only one who has made me come back and one step ahead to the WAFCON. So what kept me going is the motivation that I've been getting from people behind me, people that are supporting me, people that have not left my side when I was injured, and they made me push extra hard, and now I'm back from the injury, which I thought I wouldn't be back. Yes, otherwise it feels good. It feels good to be back.
And that sporting item brings us to the end of this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But before we go, let's take a recap of the top stories. CHILENJE market traders commend government for generator installation amid load shedding. Action Institute for Policy Analysis Center condemns ZESCO and Energy Regulation Board over persistent load shedding crisis. Zambia Council for Social Development welcomes government move to classify drug pilferage as economic crime. WHO approves historic pandemic agreement amid financial challenges. Copper Queen set for Botswana and South Africa clashes in FIFA friendly series. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of Matthew chapter 9 and verse 22. It reads, "But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour." That ends the reading, and that ends the reading of the main news on Camnet TV. But dear viewer, like always, do remember that Camnet Topstar Channel 106, Facebook, YouTube, and can stream up as Camnet TV. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Tapelo Joe Smata. Good evening and God bless.
Coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. television, not just another channel.